Why did Jin cry when he saw one photo in Coldplay's dressing room? What really happened behind the camera that made fans of the two biggest fandoms, ARMY and Coldplayers, unable to hold back tears? Is it true that Jin was made a replacement for Chris Martin by HYB? Big Hit finally spoke, but that's exactly the beginning of all this awkwardness. Jin's reaction after seeing a secret photo in Coldplay's dressing room captured on camera and made fans cry. Big Hit opened the voice. BTS's Jin to headline Coldplay concert. What would you do if someone quietly replaced your identity, erased your trademark, and then dragged your name to the center of a stage that wasn't even yours entirely? That question may be too difficult to answer directly. But when Jin, the oldest member of BTS, was seen staring blankly at a photo displayed in a Coldplay concert dressing room, the world seemed to stop spinning. The camera captured the moment. And Jin's reaction? More than emotional. He was silent for a full 47 seconds. Without a word, without a smile, and without being able to hide the tears that slowly descended from the corners of his eyes. What did Jin really see? The backstage camera, which was originally only meant for internal documentation, captured moments of Jin standing sculpted in front of a photograph. No one knows who put it there, but obviously it's not part of the concert property. The photo shows a sketch of a secret photo shoot, not an ordinary sketch. In the picture, Jin stands in the middle of the Coldplay concert main stage, wearing Chris Martin's iconic stage suit, with lighting made as if Jin is the center of the Coldplay universe. And what struck everyone who saw it the most, including Coldplay's own staff, was a small inscription in the bottom corner of the sketch. Replacement concept. Jin, the silent star. Replacement. A replacement for whom? Chris Martin. This news spread even before the concert actually started. A staffer who accidentally opened the sketch box captured it through a photo, then unknowingly uploaded it to the crew's closed platform. But like a universe that can't keep secrets, one of the uploads leaked to Korean fan sites. And the rest exploded. The ARMY is divided. Coldplayers ignited. And the international media waited for an official statement, which was not to come. Until finally a voice from Big Hit appeared. But it just makes everything more blurred. There is nothing to overreact to. Jin was only serving as a special guest at the Coldplay concert, and the sketch was part of a visual collaboration project, Big Hit said in a statement. But the statement actually burned emotions. As everyone knows, Jin is not just a guest. He is now the main face of Coldplay's visual campaign in Asia. Even more striking than Chris Martin himself. And this is what makes it all so absurd. Why would a Jin who had just completed his military service and returned with a humility that touched fans' hearts be encouraged to take the spotlight of an international concert stage that doesn't belong to BTS? Who made that decision? And why did all this seem to happen without the blessing of the genie himself? A source from Coldplay's creative team, speaking on condition of anonymity, said Jin was originally only invited as an honorary spectator. But 2 weeks before the concert, the agency suddenly sent a full proposal entitled Jin, Silent Resurrection. What does Silent Resurrection mean? The title sounds like a declaration. As if the genie had to be resurrected from silence and sacrificed as a central figure for something much bigger than just a musical collaboration. Even more suspiciously, the proposal included a stage scenario plan, camera angles, and even details of Jin's gestures that should be displayed, with the explanation that Jin would appear alone, even without Coldplay members during the highlight moment of the main song, The Scientist. Why that song? Songs about loss, mistakes, and regrets. Behind the scenes, an ARMY man who also works as Coldplay's visual editor leaked something even more shocking, that Genie's expression on stage didn't match the initial script. He should be smiling. But when that moment of spotlight arrived, Jin just stared into the distance, as if looking for someone. And when the stage curtain closed, he turned around and disappeared faster than all the staff who were still busy tidying up the tools. Camera footage showed Jin entering the dressing room with hasty steps, then closing the door tightly. No words, no sound, except for one thing. A secret microphone that was still active in the neck of his costume transmitted a quiet voice to the concert sound engineer, and that one sentence left everyone speechless. This is not what I expected. It's not me. What does all this mean? Did HYB force Jin into the Coldplay project for other interests? Does Chris Martin really agree with all this, or is there a tacit rejection from within? And what shook the most? Did Jin become the main star not because of his desire, but because of the pressure of the industry? Some fans even began to unpack Jin's interview before his enlistment, when he said that he just wanted to sing from a quiet place, not from the center of the spotlight. That sentence now feels like a sign, or maybe a request that was never really granted. After the concert ended, social media exploded with one hashtag. Hashtag Let Jin Choose. Coldplay fans joined in, questioning whether this was really an artistic decision or HYB's over-the-top marketing strategy. Many of them judged that replacing the Coldplay icon with a guest artist, even if it was Jin's class, was a strange decision and not in tune with the spirit of Coldplay. To make matters worse, a fan site post showed that Jin did not appear in the concert's after-party photo. All the artists and crew came together, including Chris Martin, the Where's Jin. The next day, one photo was uploaded by a Japanese army. In it, Jin is seen sitting alone in the hotel hallway, without makeup, still wearing stage clothes, with one hand holding a photo of the sketch he saw last night. His eyes were red, her lips clenched, and his body bent, as if holding an invisible weight. "I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to be this way," the army caption read, quoting one of the staff who happened to pass by and heard Jin muttering in Korean. What exactly is going on? Was Jin made a pawn by his own agency? Is Coldplay not given the option to say no? And why did all this have to happen after Jin returned from a long vacuum when he just wanted to appear as himself? Now, fans are demanding answers. They don't just want clarification about the photo in the dressing room or the sketch depicting Genie as a replacement for Chris Martin. They want to know who really designed this. Because if not Genie, not Coldplay, and not the intention of the fans who started it all, and who should be responsible if Jin really gets hurt because of this? That night, in a dimly lit hotel room, Jin reportedly sent a voice message to someone whose identity is still kept secret. The message was 13 seconds long short, but it held a wound that felt long and wrenching. "You know, it's not something I choose. I want to sing, but not like this. I feel lost." Fans who got the leaked voice could not hold back tears. Jin's voice sounded tired, hoarse, and far from the energetic figure they were used to seeing on the stage screen. His final line, "I feel lost," made headlines, not for drama, but to mark how misguided things had turned as, oh, what's really going on behind the scenes? A source from Coldplay's backstage team mentioned that the band members were not initially given detailed information about Jin's role in their concert. They only know that the Genie will deliver a short message and be a surprise performer. But when rehearsals were held 2 days before the show, Chris Martin was reportedly silent to see how Jin was choreographed to take center stage, a position Chris has always occupied for their signature songs. Chris just said, "He shouldn't be standing there, not like this." But after a closed-door meeting with the HYB production team, Chris came out without comment. Only one thing unsettled the crew. Chris refused to take part in a photo shoot with Jin for the promotional poster for the Asia tour. There's no official reason, but his expression was enough to answer everything. Does this mean Coldplay doesn't agree? Or is Chris Martin forced to remain silent in order to avoid a contract conflict with a giant entertainment company from South Korea? The next day, the Korean media was enlivened by a sudden report from one of the reporters known to be close to the big hit party. In an exclusive report, it said the collaboration was part of a cross-cultural agreement between HYB and Coldplay's management. But unfortunately, not a single document on cooperation was actually released to the public. Instead, a PDF file was leaked via the fan community titled, Phase 3, Jin as Global Bridge of Generations. It's shocking. IT has stated that Jin will be reshaped as the new face of cross-generational promotion, bridging the classic Coldplay era with today's Korean pop influences. There's even a full page explaining the removal of Jin's distinctive characteristics in order to be more compatible with the band's international image. Removal of Genie characteristics, meaning, is Jin's gentle smile, his distinctive voice, and his personality full of sincerity not international enough? Who would dare say that? And on what basis should a human being, a real artist like a Genie, be reshaped just for the sake of a business project? The next day, Jin disappeared from the public. No posts.
No updates.
There was no presence of his backstage at Coldplay's follow-up concert in the next city. Even BTS's official account only reshared Coldplay's photos without mentioning. The morning after the concert, one of the UK's senior photographers, tasked with capturing backstage moments, uploaded something that instantly shocked the global fanbase. Not a photo, short stories in the form of captions. He didn't smile, not once. Even when the camera wasn't looking. That wasn't performance, it was surrender. Those words, written by someone with no affiliation with HYB, were enough to make the entire fanbase pause for a moment from the social media furor. Because it is an honest confession. Jin did not smile. Not because he couldn't, but because he wasn't playing anything. He was giving up. An hour later, the photo was finally released. Not on the official account. Not from the big media. But through an anonymous account that supposedly came from one of Coldplay's concert lighting crews. In the photo, Jin appears sitting on the dressing room floor with his back to the camera, holding something in his hand. When zoomed in, fans found that what he was holding was an old photo, a photo of the early days of BTS, when they were still performing on a small stage, full of laughter, full of hope. In the lower right corner of the photo, handwritten, "Don't forget why we started." The writing is known.